Hey everybody, this is Jeff at Cackle Hatchery. We're going to cover just some general care tips today. Today I have a golden duckwing bantam old English rooster. General care for birds that start getting some age on them, like this guy here, he's 2 years old. You don't want the toenails to get too long, so these are already, we've clipped them once, but they're probably need clipped again back down to here. You can use dog nail clippers, or you can use some other type of clippers to cut those. You don't want to go too close to the scale because it will bleed, so you want to get out here a little bit further. So you need to watch out for that because they will get long and curl, and then they can't walk properly or fly up on a roost properly. Generally, if they have a good area to get out and scratch and peck around, usually they keep them wore down to where they're not getting long like this. Other things you want to look for would be the scales in the legs. So all these little scales up through here, so you want them to kind of be somewhat smooth. If they look like they're pulling away from each other and bulging, you might have a leg lice or other parasite that's burrowing between those scales, so you'd want to treat that. There's several products that you can treat that with. So that's something else to look at. Males and sometimes females will grow spurs, and spurs will, they can get out pretty long. So a lot of people will cut them. It's not necessary to cut them, but if they get too long, it can be problematic. If it's a big chicken or big rooster and they get really sharp, they can spur you. They try to fight you and spur you. They could also be on a roost and fly and hit the netting, and their spur could get caught up in the netting. They could be sitting there hanging or off the roost. So it becomes problematic if it gets too long, and they'll pull their hip socket out by hanging off of something if it gets caught. Once the spur gets out here, you want to cut it back. The best way to do is either cauterize it, something real hot, to get the point off and take it down, or usually cutting that with a fine saw blade, a metal saw blade. You want to go about a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch away from the leg. This is a very small bird, so on a normal sized bird, you might want to go a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch from the leg. And it will bleed a little bit. Some people are worried they're going to bleed to death. I'm 63 years old and I've never had one bleed to death yet, but they can make a mess. So when you do this, you want to take the bird and just put it in a box, a darkened box, calm, so it just sits there and rests. After about 30 minutes to an hour, take it out, put it in a cage where it doesn't have a lot of activity, but it can also see where it can get a drink. So you want to rehydrate the bird. There's other ways you can try to stop it. You can take some regular flour and pack it with flour, kind of dab it. You can do a few other things to maybe stop it, but generally just let it bleed and it'll go ahead and self-seal with a good scab. It's kind of nature's way of doing it. So another common thing you want to look for in birds, which are very common, are different types of parasites. Some of the external parasites would be like mites and lice. And generally the lice want to live at the base of the feathers, around the vent area, and then a lot of times under the wing right here is two of the most common places you'll find them. If you're looking for lice, you want to pull back and see if you see anything that are like white nodules at the base of the feathers. And then if you see some little white clusters around the base of the feather at the skin level, those are eggs. So those are definitely something you want to get rid of. Pull the feathers off, burn them, and then you want to treat the bird. Generally for lice, there's a couple of chemicals that you can use for that work well. Sometimes it's just as easy as maybe putting a little bit of Dawn dishwashing soap, a couple of drops with some water in a mister. Pull this back, mist around the skin, and do that every 2 or 3 days. And do that for maybe a week, and you shouldn't see any more nasty little parasites running around on the skin. Now, if you find eggs at the base of those feathers, then about every 30 days you need to be checking them and retreating them, because there's going to be some that hatch out that you don't catch and continue being on the bird. So if that's happening, generally you need to go check your coop, because your coop is probably infested either with mites or lice, so you need to do a deep clean there, new shavings. You need to put in some type of cleaning agent or pesticide or something. There's several natural methods to do that. So certainly around all the roosts, nesting, bedding, the walls, everything, you got to break that cycle. So the cycle happens about every 30 days. Another one would be mites. And mites can be anywhere on the bird. A lot of times they like going to the ear area. On this guy here, you can't see his earlobe very well, but right above there's some little feathers right there. Underneath those feathers is the ear, and mites like to get in the ear area. Generally, they're a darker bug, and you can see them run around. Sometimes you just have to kind of inspect that, pull some of the feathers back, make sure you don't see anything moving inside there. There is some ointment that you can put here also for mites, but if you do find anything, there's an ointment that works well for ears too. The best, healthiest chickens though are the ones that you can let free range occasionally so they can get out and eat bugs, grasshoppers, grass. They can eat minerals and trace minerals out of the soil. So those are your healthiest birds. This bird right here is pretty easy to handle because he's a pet, and he's also the breed that he is you know, they're pretty docile, make some pretty good pets if you spend a little time with them. So we like this little guy. There's a lot more we could talk about on health tips, and we'll cover that maybe in another video. But that's it from Cackle Hatchery today. You have a good day.